Hi, I'm Rebecca Holden, and I'm here today on behalf of the National Fiddler Hall of Fame to visit with the very talented and gifted actor, Mr. Louis Gossett Jr. Hi, Lou.
Hi.
Thank you so much for inviting us into your beautiful home.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Welcome to my home, y'all.
Well, you know, so many of us already know about your illustrious career as an actor. You won an Emmy for your portrayal of the Fiddler in Roots, and an Oscar for your role as Sergeant Foley in the incredible film An Officer and a Gentleman. But people may not know that you were also a musician. You want to tell us a little bit about your passion for music and what it means to you?
Well, the passion for music started in church, the First Baptist Church of Coney Island.
First Baptist Church.
Yeah, we were in the intermediate choir, and the intermediate choir consisted of I'm going to date myself now, the chiffons. The chiffons evolved into the raylettes, and we were hit on the ankles because we were bebopping the gospel. And of course then Ray Charles started bebopping the gospel.
Yes.
But the original raylettes came from Coney Island, Dorothy McCrae and all those particular people, and that was my choir. And we used to have gospel contests at the old Brooklyn Paramount. And in the Brooklyn Paramount, the Sunday afternoon gospel contests was the Five Blind Boys. The original Five Blind Boys consisted of Ray Charles,
Oh my goodness.
Al Hibbler, and 3 others.
What an incredible music environment you grew up in.
Then there was the Dixie Hummingbirds. The Dixie Hummingbirds, the lead singer was Jackie Wilson. And then let's see if I can remember the other group. The other group was I can't remember, but the leading singer was Sam Cooke.
No kidding.
So that was the gospel on Sunday afternoon in Brooklyn at the Paramount.
What an incredible learning opportunity you had.
That's where the music started. Right?
Gee whiz.
So now fade out, fade in. Here I am at 17, and I'm acting and I'm doing all that stuff, and I'm singing as a church and playing conga drums because I'm becoming a hippie, you know. And so the Broadway shows that I was doing was taken over by the British. There was My Fair Lady, there was Hamlet, there's Beckett, there's Separate Tables, all British. So off-Broadway was started. So I'm rehearsing a thing called Jean Genet's The Blacks. And we're upstairs in this church, and I hear this music downstairs, and they go downstairs to sing. And so it's in a neighborhood, so there's no applause. They have to snap their fingers. And they were passing this basket around. And the basket was full of 10s and 20s, and off-Broadway only paid $45 a week. I said, wow, I can do that. I can sing some of the gospel songs in the church. And I sang 3 or 4 gospel songs, and I got $400 in there.
Woohoo!
So I said, I'm moving in down here. This is the Cafe War, W-H-A question mark, the famous Cafe War, in which the next year there was a famous hootenanny, through which Richie Havens, Mama Cass, Joan Baez, Judy Collins, Harry Belafonte, Richard Pryor, Jimi Hendrix, all of them came through there.
And you emceed it too.
I emceed it along with Noel Stuckey, who was Paul Stuckey, from Peter, Paul, and Mary.
And played guitar.
And played guitar. That year, I got the guitar, and if you know 3 chords, you have 3,000 songs. So I started tinkering around and stuff, and I got a little, then I got a partner. His name was Felix Albert Pappalardi Jr. The only way you know him is because he discovered Eric Clapton. He's the producer of Cream, Fresh Cream. That's Eric Clapton's first album. And Mountain. And he was my partner, and we opened for the Kingston Trio.
The Kingston
fairly
Trio.
Well, 1959, 1960.
And so you were their opening act.
Yeah, they were opening act at the Village Gate and the Village Vanguard and CCNYU and NYU, and went down to Duquesne and other places. We're doing pretty well.
Oh, the music scene in those days.
Oh, incredible music scene. Incredible. So I met them all, and they're all friends. John Sebastian Jr., met them all. And I got a job. I got offered a series called The Young Rebels. So I packed the guitars up, and I gave all the music that I'd written in the back of the newspapers and stuff. I gave it all to Richie Havens. So I'm in New York, I'm in Los Angeles, on 8510 Ridpath Drive in Laurel Canyon, 45-degree angle street. And I got my mother's furniture on the ball bearing rollers, and the landlord is putting me out, and the furniture's rolling down the street.
Oh no.
So I'm holding onto the chair, and the mailman comes, And he puts the mail in my mouth, and I reach in and I open it, says, "You not music?" And open up the envelope. It was $72,000, a residual check.
A residual
A
check
residual check.
for 72,000.
72,000.
Just when your days were looking pretty dark.
Yeah. The closest I've been to homeless.
God was smiling on you, wasn't he?
Better. He was giggling there for a while. And then the landlord wanted to sell me the house. So that music has been very special to me.
Certainly.
And I continue to write, and I had not had a chance to sing so much, but all of a sudden I got my guitars clean. For some reason, I've lost those muscles, and they'll come back.
But
'Cause
God
I
is
have other
calling you
songs,
to play music again. Yeah.
Music is different now, but Handsome Johnny was an anti-war song. So that's how that music started. It's a resurrection, it's a full circle.
And that song for Richie Havens sort of really was a
Kicked off
wonderful,
Woodstock.
a real opportunity for you.
Yeah.
And played it, and you had a reunion.
We had a reunion in Woodstock at the same place. When it was mud, now it's a manicured place with an auditorium. So I went there, and there's a photograph that you'll probably have shown to you of myself and Richie's wife and a friend from those days who was a young kid at the time, and his secretary. And in the background is this Piper Club kind of playing with the smoke coming out of the room. And it was Richie's ashes. His request was to spread his ashes over Woodstock.
Woodstock. Oh, what a story.
And they played his music while they spread his ashes over Woodstock.
And how nice that you were there.
Oh, I had to be there. I had to be.
You
It kept
always
me from being
remain good
homeless.
friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we sing, every time I'm there, I have to sing the song with them. Hey, look yonder, tell me what's that to see? Marching from the fields of Concord. Looks like Handsome Johnny with his flintlock in his hand. Marching from the Concord War. Marching from the Concord War. And it's a long, hard road. Long, hard road. It's a long, hard road before we'll be free. And every war, never another weapon. Hey, look yonder, tell me what's that you see? Marching to the fields of Germany. Looks like Handsome Johnny with an AR in his hand. Marching to the German war. Marching to the German war. And it's a long, hard road. Long, hard road. Long, hard road before we'll be free. What's the use of singing this song? Some of you are not even listening. Here comes, and this is Richie's part, here comes the hydrogen bomb, here comes the guided missile. What is it we have to do? Wait for our fields to start glistening. Hey, look yonder, tell me what's that you see?
Bravo.
That's the song.
Do you remember when you were inspired to write that song?
Yeah, because when I just missed Vietnam by a hair.
That'll be a great inspiration, won't it? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, both of us just missing by just that much. Okay.
Tell us about your character in Roots.
Ah.
How did that role come to you?
It came to me from David Walter, who said he's got to be in it somewhere. They picked up the list, James Earl Jones always had to be in it somewhere. So they picked Fiddler, and I was really a little upset that they picked. I wanted to play Kunta Kinte's father. That's an important role, I wanted to play the chief of the tribe or something. So Fiddler, it's the Uncle Tom. All right, so let me do this work. So in my research, I realized there really is no such thing as an Uncle Tom, and he's the first African American that Kunta Kinte meets.
Yes.
And if it wasn't for Fiddler, that line would have stopped.
Yes.
You had to teach him how to survive.
Yes.
And then it became bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And so now we won the Emmy because that,
You certainly did.
So out of it the cover came off. And then being to have what they call a comprehensive, deep, organic love. And my main line in Roots was, what's it like to be free?
I was going to say that scene was so powerful because the Fiddler was raised on a plantation.
Yes.
He didn't know anything else but
what's it
being a
like to be
slave.
free?
And when he asked Kunta Kinte,
Yeah.
what's it like to be free?
Yeah.
Did you relate to that character? Did you?
Completely. I related mostly, and that's what Alex talked about. Because there was a line I said by remote, I guess, because I didn't know it was in the script, when I watched Kunta being whipped.
Yes.
And my best friend was Vic Morrow at the time.
Oh,
So he
my.
apologized in advance.
Yes. Did he really?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he was a good buddy. He was a good buddy. And then,
That was such an incredible scene. When you go, when your friend is being beaten like this, and I say friend, but he was almost more
My
than a
son.
friend. He was like your son.
My son,
He'd come to be a son
Yeah.
figure to you. And you go to the plantation owner, and I can see the sort of the inner conflict, because you're trying to contain your own torment
Right.
and appeal to his business sense
Mm-hmm.
that he's going to damage this piece of property.
Yes, yeah.
And at the same time, inside, you are pleading for
Please,
mercy
please, yeah.
for your son.
Yeah, that was a tough day.
Yes.
It was a really tough day. So when he gets
How did you bring that emotion
I
that
didn't
was
have
there?
to. Didn't have to.
It was
Just
just
have to.
there.
It was there.
Yeah.
What was really there was after he was cut down, and I came to put talk to him about what you care what they call
Yes.
you, and all that was lines in the script. Or was not in the script was there's going to be another day. You know, so it was a deep thing.
So
I
that
don't
came from
remember.
you.
Yeah, and the director, we did it one take, and the director said, cut, let's go home. And Alex Haley keeps talking about that. He didn't write that. I don't remember saying it.
So it just came from the
Yeah,
moment.
I really don't remember saying it.
That's your gift as an actor, just
Yeah.
being in that moment.
Yeah, that moment had to be sad.
Yeah.
Because it was too sad not to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a brilliant performance.
Well, you know, it wasn't a performance.
You were being real.
It was real.
Yeah.
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 Acting sometimes is a misnomer, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is.
Yeah, sometimes it's not acting at all. Especially when the big magnifying glass is looking at you. You know, so it's,
So, did you learn to play the fiddle?
well, I learned playing the guitar, so I learned the fingering.
Very similar
The
then.
very similar fingering.
So, how did it actually work? Did you have the soundtrack first and you were able to...
Yeah, the soundtrack first, and I practiced day and night with it, so I knew what would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then they played it while I played it on the set.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked like I was playing.
Yes.
And I got really
It's
good at it.
impeccable. It's
Yeah.
right with the soundtrack.
Yeah, and I'm very glad for that young man who really did the film.
Uh-huh. Do you think they knew of your musical background when they cast you?
Maybe they did. Maybe they did.
Because it was
It
such an
fits.
integral part of
Yeah,
that entire role.
Did you remember the last one he wrote? He did? Up Against the Tree?
Uh-huh. Yes.
And when he died against the tree, I'm going to play a song I Want to hear.
His death scene.
Yes,
Yes.
that scene. It was really wonderful to play that. Really
And
cathartic.
his playing is what distracted so that Kunta
Could escape.
could escape. Yeah.
It was really good. Yeah.
Now I noticed that when you were playing the fiddler, you played it against your hip rather than like you see fiddlers today
right,
against the chin. But that's the way they play.
That's the way they play it. Fiddle. Violin up here,
Uh-huh.
fiddle down.
You know, music was such an integral part of the soundtrack for Roots, and Bobby Bruce played the fiddle
Yes, he did.
for the soundtrack
Yeah.
on the project. Did the two of you ever get to meet?
Well, I met him on the set. He played a
Uh-huh.
few times.
Uh-huh.
I thought I was bugging it, but I wanted to get it right.
Yes.
So he was very, very patient with me. He told me about the fingering, and so now it's a piece of history. It's wonderful. But what he reminded me of,
Uh-huh.
which is what I took to the thing when I was teaching Kunta Kinte while we was working his language. It's called a field holler. And I knew about the field holler from the old folk days, and that's what I used to sing when I didn't play the guitar. I remember one song about a woman, and this is part of history, a woman who had a baby. She had to take care of the mammy's baby, the mama's baby, and leave her own baby off somewhere. There's a song. This song was "Hush you by, don't you cry. All the pretty little horses, blacks and bays, gelding and greys. All the pretty little horses, way down yonder in the meadow lies my poor little lammy. Bees and butterflies picking at his eyes. Poor little thing crying, Mammy. So hush and cry. She's rocking the white baby. Yeah? Rockabye, don't you cry. Go to sleep, little baby. That's that relationship between the mammy, like the Help movie, resonated from then on. But you get to understand the synergy. It's not slavery now. It's two human beings giving each other love in those circumstances. I'd like to see more of that in those slave movies. Then there was the chain gang stuff, you know, Big Leg Rosie, who was the woman who was coming to see her husband on the other gates.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Big Leg Rosie at the woman's wall. Big Leg Rosie at the woman's wall. Be my woman, I'll be your man. Every dollar, baby, in your hand. In your hand,
love
Rosie. In your hand. Every dollar, Rosie, in your hand.
It's marvelous.
all of it.
Absolutely
That
marvelous.
made the day go.
Yeah.
That music is the beginning of rock and roll,
Yes.
of blues and jazz, all through slavery.
Mm-hmm.
There's a strain that came and kept people sane.
Mm-hmm.
The gospel and the music is the beginning of our music.
Music has
Jazz.
that power, doesn't it?
It still has today.
It still has today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything wrong with rap. Sometimes the words upset because there's a disrespect for the opposite sex. But rap is a pure form of poetry.
Mm-hmm. The rhythm.
The rhythms,
It's
yeah.
all about the rhythm.
It's all about the rhythm.
Yeah.
And the message.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's exciting to be
Yeah.
here to
Yeah.
witness that. But when you do the movies, it's not just about slavery.
Uh-huh.
I want you to see more of that other stuff in those stories.
Uh-huh.
Because that's our connective tissue.
Yes.
That sounds.
How did the character of Roots change your life?
It changed my life by reminding me how lucky I am to have a great grandmama and a grandfather who represented those characters. I had a responsibility to portray them properly,
Uh-huh.
and it reconnected me with that generation. It enhanced my life immensely by
And of
knowing.
course, that recognition that you received for that role
Yeah,
changed your career.
yeah, and my life.
Mhm.
And it was an encouragement to respect, and I wanted to go back and see if they could still talk to me. And I value elders now. Now I'm an elder, so my grandchildren and others can come back and listen to my stories, and hopefully it'll continue on the way it was before.
When you knew that you were then going to play the role of the fiddler,
Mhm.
were you excited that you were going to be able to bring in your musical talent?
Well, I know the thing about when I brought it. Oh, I can use this here,
Uh-huh.
and of course I did. I got a chance to sneak in there with elders and spend some time with them and put like I do with a character, but it opened up so many doors of relationships with people who knew. It made a great relationship with Quincy,
Mm-hmm.
and so when he looks at me, he calls me Fiddler.
Does he still
He calls me Low,
today?
calls me Fiddler.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I miss him. I haven't seen him in a while, but I will. I'll see him
Uh-huh.
again.
Uh-huh. Those friendships don't go away.
No, I don't go away.
No, you pick up like it was yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a good time. Today's a good time too, but this school is never out. And then and later on, I had the good fortune of meeting somebody who I highly respected. It was Papa John Creech. You know
Tell
who
us
that was?
about it.
Papa John Creech. I did a movie called A Gathering of Old Men.
Uh-huh.
I played the oldest man, and I was the youngest actor in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Papa John Creech, who resurrected his career in the folk era. Got a photograph of him there. And then there was, who else was in that? Julius Harris, Richard Whitmore,
Oh my.
Holly Hunter,
Uh-huh.
Will Patton, they're first. They got discovered out of that. Then there was a man by the name of Sandman, who taught Sammy Davis how to dance.
Oh my.
And then there was Tiger Haynes, who was in the musicals with Eartha Kitt.
Uh-huh.
And a whole bunch of elders, Julius Harris. And I played the oldest of all of them.
Ah,
So we'll show you that picture. It'll be there. It's on my wall. Of Chester Himes. The first movie that he did was the autobiography of Jane Pittman, that Cicely Tyson did.
Oh.
And this was the second.
The Diary of Jane Pittman.
Diary of Jane
Yes,
Pittman, yeah.
yes.
And this was the second. So we went down to Louisiana
Uh-huh.
and in the sugar plantations and did that one.
Oh my.
Yeah. Not
So you
wood,
said you
not
did.
wood. It's been very blessed.
Uh-huh.
Very blessed.
So, how important do you think the soundtrack is, just to any film in general, but especially
Roots.
to Roots?
Well, that got me, myself, and one of my good friends, Quincy Jones, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the folk music era,
Mm-hmm.
and doing research on what folk music was,
Mm-hmm.
I discovered the field holler. Look over yonder, hot sun burning over. Look over yonder, hot sun burning over. and it won't be free till the sun go down. And we're working, right?
Beautiful.
So now the scene.
So it kept everybody sort of in sync.
Yeah, and when somebody was escaping, you say,
Yes.
you know, Big Rosetta, woman wrong. We sang our way through slavery. We chanted our way.
Because music always sort of
It makes things better.
lifts the spirits
Right.
and makes things better, like you say.
So the scene with myself and continue of teaching him English.
Uh-huh.
What's that flying overhead? Bird feather. It's bird flying overhead.
Yes, yes.
What's that yipping in the yard? That's dog feather. So I was teaching him.
Uh-huh.
And it became, and Quincy put it on the album, and I got a gold album because of Roots.
Oh my.
I see the connection.
Oh, we need to see your gold album.
Oh, I don't know where. It's probably in a pawn shop because people have come through here. A lot of stuff is mysteriously missing.
just
He'll
walks
get
away.
back. He'll find his
Oh.
way back there.
Well,
But
congratulations.
it's a gold record. It's a gold record. Quincy won the Grammy, and we both got gold records.
So your singing sort of came full circle in that
Absolutely,
role
full
after all
circle.
the acting, and you
Yeah.
came back to your music.
Yeah, and I wound up doing a musical with Sam Davis,
Really?
Golden Boy.
Oh
And
my.
he's such a patient man because I'm an athlete and I stepped on his feet.
You were an athlete,
Yes,
right?
yes,
I understand you almost played for the New York Knicks.
Well, yeah, but I had more money in my pocket than they had in the bank at the time. And they were awful serious, you know. But I was in rehearsal with Raisin and the Sun, and I got drafted. So I said, I'm gonna have to make a decision whether I want to quit Raisin and the Sun and play this basketball. So I went up to the Girl Singers in the Catskills, and it was a no-brainer.
No brainer.
No-brainer. They were beating people up and stuff, and I said, no, I got more money in my pocket than they have in the bank.
Well, I tell
Today
you,
is a different decision.
as an audience member,
Mhm.
I am so glad of the choice that you made.
That makes two of us.
Because we have been so blessed by your
I appreciate it.
performances.
I appreciate it. It's
So
a blessing.
blessed. So blessed.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So what are you up to today?
I have a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Racism.
the Racism Foundation.
I want to make sure everybody can see that.
Yeah.
I love that. You sort
a
of
play on
coined that
words,
word,
yeah.
didn't you?
Well, I discovered it first in New Orleans, and it had to do with the Choctaw Indians and the people from the Everglades trying to get equality.
Mm-hmm.
And then fade out, fade in. I saw the same T-shirt with a young man selling it outside of SC, and I bought all of them.
Oh.
And then I wanted to do my little bit about sending these T-shirts out as a subtle reminder that we need one another.
Yes.
And it got a little, sometimes it got positive, but a lot of negative.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly but surely I went through some changes and I didn't work. But my roots and what I taught from my family and the reason why I'm on this planet and what happened to me with a society that really helped one another, that society down in Brooklyn that helped me, the William Morris Agency, we're all generations from that society.
Mm.
The people in the William Morris Agency, Lou Wattsman out of Detroit, we all kind of grew up together.
Yes.
And you can't tell me that that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
So I had to swallow that in order to make it in Hollywood, and it was an ill-fitting glove. So when things got to really desperate, I had to make an internal decision. I'm going to sacrifice this in order to make it, or I'm going to stick with this and pick and choose parts that will maybe uplift and teach. So battles internally, externally. To make a long story short, I had the book, An Actor and a Gentleman, about that.
And your choice was?
And my choice was resonate what we desperately need today.
Yes.
What we desperately need today has been disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
The disconnection of the generations.
Mm-hmm.
What happiness is, the definition of happiness,
Mm-hmm.
is not a split-level house with a wife and 2.5 children and mortgage and stuff. It's bigger than that.
Yes.
We have seems to have painted ourselves into a corner, and the generational connection is separated. So our children are not really taught anything positive.
And you had great parenting, I understand. You were very
That's what
close to your
started.
grandmother.
But all the people
Mm-hmm.
in that neighborhood.
Yes. It
were
was a
my
community.
parents. It was a community. You don't do that in this neighborhood. And if your parents didn't get home, I had a choice of sitting at the table to have gefilte fish,
Mm-hmm.
or corned beef and cabbage,
Mm-hmm.
or lasagna, depends on who was home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I was raised. You can't tell me that's not the way to go today.
Yes. Yes.
And we need to reconnect ourselves with our children.
Mm-hmm.
And the mentality of war has gotten to a place where nobody's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should pay attention to the salvation of the planet and the proper mentoring and responsibility for our children and
Yes.
where we live in ourselves. And that's what this is.
Because you've said something that I really like. You said the stuff that makes us ladies and gentlemen
Mm-hmm.
is gone today.
Oh, it's gone. Nobody's taught anything.
Manners,
Kids-
self-respect,
Yeah.
respect for our elders,
Dress code.
conduct.
The knowledge of upon whose shoulders you stand.
Yes.
So you don't embarrass your family.
Mm-hmm.
The connection. The elders have something to teach us.
Yes.
We have to have the time and the respect to listen to them. So we know what to take from them and pass it on to the next generation.
Yes.
It's disconnected because of the desire that happiness is how much money you have or how much weapons or how much power. And it's short.
Mm-hmm.
And I had all of those frustrations and angers. And I wound up going to South Africa
Mm-hmm.
to co-produce a movie called Inside. And I got a chance to be in a room with Nelson Mandela for 20 minutes or so.
Oh my.
And I said, the world was holding their breath when you came out of there because they knew you had to be really angry
Mm-hmm.
after they took away 27 years of your life. But you came out with a smile on your face. And he smiled at me. He said, it's a bigger picture than that. So if there's any bigger picture than that, I have no reason to be upset at all. So
And
he
what do
kinda
you
freaked
think was the key for him?
What I just said, the planet needs us on a better scale.
Yeah.
We need a truth commission.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get on with the salvation of this planet.
Mhm.
We need to teach our children the better way to go and pass it on positively instead of negatively.
Mm-hmm.
One way is a bloodbath and nobody wins.
Mm-hmm.
The other way is salvation and the
Mhm.
belief in God. Or however you want to believe it. So, it's a no-brainer.
Yes. And you have said also that the arts play a big role in that,
Yeah.
in that we have a tremendous responsibility
Total responsibility.
for what we put on the screen because
Yeah.
that has such an impact on
the
young
children.
minds.
Yeah. So if you have, let's say we have 20 television series, right?
Mhm.
Most of them are police ones now, but there's heroes and there's heroines. If they're all one race, the kids are not represented properly, except in the villain's part.
Mhm.
It works on their heads. Eventually they say, well, I can't be the hero anywhere, so I may as well follow the villain. And they become sophisticated and they wind up in jail.
Mhm.
But if they see a hero that looks like them in our movies, in our average television show, then they aspire to do that.
Mhm.
We talked about earlier about a lot of villains in which I turned out not to be. I wanted to be a James Bond villain because the bigger the villain, the more James Bond had to work to counter him.
Yes.
So I didn't mind wanting to be if I was a villain in the deep, for
Mhm.
example. But I wouldn't take the parts to glorified violence
Yes.
or glorified villainy for him not to lose at the end.
Mhm.
So I made a choice not to.
Evil has to be defeated.
Yeah, it has to.
So the moral of the story and the
Yeah.
message of the
Yeah.
film is that evil will not win.
Yeah, he either has to be defeated or defeats himself
Yes.
because it
Yeah.
doesn't work in the long run.
Yes.
That's our message today from one generation to another. I don't care how many cars you got, how much money you have, how famous you are. That's not where the keys to the kingdom are.
Mhm.
Continue your search. It's a reconnection of your roots, your values, what you really should be proud of,
Yes.
and your responsibility to keep it going and pass that on to the next generation. There are the keys to the kingdom.
Well said. And I think that you would also probably believe that we have a responsibility for the type of music that we put out in our
Oh, yeah.
culture today.
Absolutely.
Because music is such a powerful influence.
They tell me, you're from another generation, what can you tell me about hip hop and rap?
Hmm.
But you can't sass your mama. You can't sass the woman.
Thank you.
You can't do that
Yes.
and make money on it.
Yes.
There's repercussions,
There are.
spiritually and karmic.
Yes.
And you're not a son or a daughter of mine if you do that. But you don't know that. I have to teach you. And once I teach you, you know it's wrong. If you continue, then God's got you. But they were not taught that it was wrong.
Amen.
They need to be taught that it's wrong.
Yes.
And they need to have boundaries.
Yes.
And that's our responsibility.
Yes.
So we can't get angry at somebody who's not giving it to us. There's certain things that we have to do inherently to ourselves and our children and where we live to be responsible. And one of the things we need to be responsible for is to get those kids off those streets and get those guns away.
Mm-hmm.
And because most of them are really asking, what can I get away with? Pay attention to me. And that's most of them. Some of them are lost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we have to reassume that responsibility.
And your organization is working toward that
Trying
as
to do
well.
that. I'm trying to get them all together
Good
to
for
learn.
you.
That's what we do at this age. That's what my great-grandmother did to me. She taught me a lot of stuff, sometimes painfully. The only lie she told me is that this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. That was a lie.
I think I heard that same lie myself.
Well, they must have one rehearsed that somewhere together. What
They
do you
had
want
that
to
line
do?
down, yeah, That's so great.
Yeah.
That is so great. Oh.
Thank God for her. Thank God for her.
I think you showed us a picture of your
Yeah.
grandmother.
Yeah.
And there was an interesting little story about the night of your first play, the opening night
Yeah.
of the first play that you ever
gosh.
did
The
in
whole
New York.
neighborhood showed up. And they were so proud of me. All my
Tell us the
teachers-
name of that play.
It was called Take Your Giant Step, 1953. I'm still in high school.
Uh-huh.
Whole neighborhood shows up. It's a Sunday matinee. And everybody's hugging me. Some of the people are now famous. Paul Robeson,
Oh,
Lena
my.
Horne, Josephine Baker. They're hugging me. They're surrounded as kids on Broadway and leading. All of a sudden I hear, get out of the way! So they get out of the way. It's Grandma.
Grandma.
I go to hug her and she slaps me. She says, slap! I said, what are you doing? You cannot sass your grandma that way. I said, what do you mean? Oh, that's a line in the playground. Slap, I don't care. So she was going to come back the next week to see if I said it. I have to remember, if she's there, I could not say that line.
That's so
Damn it,
great.
Grandma, I'm not going to do it as the line.
I would have loved to have known your grandmother.
You too?
Yeah.
Hard head makes us off behind. How many times do I have to tell you?
Well, she certainly
She's a-
raised a
yeah.
fine man.
Oh, boy, she, all of us, we raised. My cousin Robert.
And I have a feeling you're passing along a lot of her lessons
Oh, you got it.
to your
You got
kids
it.
and grandkids
She
today.
got my attention. I'm going to see my grandkids more.
And how many grandkids do you have?
9.
9.
Yeah, I have to explain that later.
You have a beautiful family.
Yeah, I do.
You're
Yeah.
very blessed.
I am so.
First of all, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It has been an absolute joy to talk with you.
My pleasure.
And might you have any words of advice for young performers, musicians, actors today?
Well, it's a gift. So if you have that gift and you're having a hard time people taking care of that gift, it's just a test. It's just a test of how much faith you have and how important that gift is. God gave it to you for you to use, and use it each and every time you get an opportunity. And always remember, there is no such thing as impossible.
I love
Open
that.
up the top of your head and keep on going.
And speaking of gifts, you truly have a gift, and we thank you so much for sharing it with us
My
all
pleasure.
these years.
My pleasure. Back at you.
Ah.
Yeah.
You are just a joy.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Thank you.